Excellent. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I am delighted to be able to present our today's Zoom Muse poet, Solihin Thom, who is semi-retired and living in Turkey with his wife, Alicia. They live on the lovely turquoise coast of the Eastern Mediterranean in a seaside town called Kalkan. He was an osteopath and acupuncturist and evolved and developed an ontological approach to medicine, health, and well-being. He still occasionally teaches over Zoom, occasionally sees clients, and his process has in the past been called ontological kinesiology. And it's absolutely remarkable, life-changing, and I would love to engage him in a discussion after he reads his poems. His approach has roots deep in the years as a peripatetic mover within and on the fringes of Subud. He's been a member since 1973. He says he occasionally writes poetry. Is it really poetry he writes when an inner feeling prompts him? So recently, not much inner prompting, he says. Alicia and Solihin, together with Rebecca Ter Horst, co-wrote the book Being Human, which was published in 2003. Currently, he's writing another book in this series, a semi-autobiographical book illustrating the insights that form his approach to medicine and the tools that may help others understand health from an ontological approach. Solihin and Alicia have 4 grown-up children, 4 adorable granddaughters. I believe his children and grandchildren are scattered throughout the world. He says, life is good even when times are a-changin'. And find more about his work and his writings at innerdialogue.org. And I just have to say, as a person who helped get me into Subud and as a person who pulled my backside out of many fires and is responsible as any other healer I've known, I'm so grateful to be able to present him in this way, and I think you'll be moved as well. Please welcome my friend Solihin Thom.
Thank you. Gosh. Right. I've never read to a digital audience, so I'm not quite sure what this is going to be like. But well, I'll do my best. So you'll forgive me if I hum and haw, but I'll try not to. So I got a collection of poems that mostly were written in well, here in Turkey, but also in Russia. And most of you know that we were 7 years in Russia, which sounds like a sort of a prison sentence, and it was slightly like a prison sentence actually. So there are poems that, if I can find them on my desk, about Jerusalem, about Konya, which is in Turkey, obviously Moscow, etc., etc. I'm sorry, I just had a little note from, oh dear, some updates could not be installed because Zoom USA, oh I see, that's all right, sorry. Ignore that. So the first one I'm going to do is a piece on, it's called Melancholia. Now, what's just happened is that I've just lost it. It was on the screen a moment ago, so you just have to bear with me as I find my poem again. And the reason is because I printed it the other day and it didn't print all the bits. Here we are. Okay. So here we go. So Melancholia. Is it that a creative urge, like a font of knowledge, emerges uncontrollably pushing pen to paper? Or is it the local miasma that seeps in, obscuring vision, blurring the focus, obliterating the sharp lines of demarcation? Altering differentiation, yet announces itself as sneezing and dripping cloaca, as the environmental allergen, a seed of malcontent, adds a clue to the general malaise, the penitent milieu, the malodorous stench of nepotism, greed and survival, of petty and grand larceny of the old system, whose very nature lies only slightly beneath the surface as it claims its prize. The pernicious decay enters the pores, an olfactory nuclei, even though on the surface all seems good, as the morning foot traffic passes by, grim, with laughter gone, downward-faced or turned, as silently, if not earnestly, they coalesce and move apart, in front and behind, rarely touching nor talking, as their collective creates an amorphous field that provides the mirage of a working city. Functional, dynamic, clothed by the West and sweat factories of the East, bundled in garish and ultimately tarnished assortment of the ubiquitous chains. As this mass meanders in avoidance of the mud and melting ice, as both startlingly modern and decrepit buses glide or rattle to a stop, disgorging the commute who join the sidewalk throng. New buildings reign high. Fancy crowns and architectural follies adorn their roofs as they stand proud against their 19th century neighbours, but pitted against the yet another church, whose beauty and outer simplicity advertise piety, and whose interior, lavished with art, paint and gold, belies the simple message of faith, for deep in the collective one is reminded, and if history be told, of power, superstition and misogyny and their reliance on the supernatural, to quieten and allay the inordinate fear of the thin, almost tenuous thread that holds their soul together, as the fracture lines of society that had given slightly, but as winter passes and the bloom and promise of spring and summer augments the glue, moulded by statecraft, creating a further spell on the populace, providing a consensus of well-being, safely through misplaced arrogance and pride, a polarization towards the other, even though the shrinking population and national productivity shrieks its message as economists fudge the books and media directs their gaze back into the miasm of despair. So that was April 2018. It must have been a hard visit to Moscow, actually. But anyway.
Well, that was in Moscow, you said.
Yeah, that was in Moscow. Yeah. Okay, so it's something much lighter, if I can find it.
That was pretty bleak.
Well, yes, I know, but you know, Moscow is pretty bleak. Actually, it was a hard place for us to be in, and so there were times when I wrote like that because it was just so in my face whilst I was working there, and that was just a
lot of insight, and I really liked the beginning and the question that you started with.
Good, great, good. All right, well, let's hope I can find some lighter ones. Okay. So I'm going to be reading this not off the screen, but off bits of paper. So you might find me rustling stuff. So now this particular one is called The Owl, and the reason is that there's a wonderful book whose author I can't remember, but he's Northwest America, who wrote about it was called The Owl Calls My Name, and it's about a sort of North American Indian sort of modeling that sort of says, if you hear the owl call your name, you're dead. You're basically going to die. So anyway, I'm still alive, so obviously it wasn't calling my name. It's called The Owl.
Lovely book.
So, welcome home, an owl called. Not my name, you know, but somebody else's, or perhaps a whimsical or flirtatious call to its mate, just round the corner. On that white oak or majestic cedar, a plaintive sound, repetitive, haunting, but melodious, echoing through the still night, lit by canopy of sparkling stars, twinkling in the deep blue of skies hidden from the light. The late spring but mountain cold seeping through the door and cracks around the windows, slipping in like a miasma. Farther sky, as this banshee blows through my mind, causing constant thought, reassessment, reflection, light upon a troubled mind, indolent with indecision, inadequacy, involuted. Pen does not meet its promised paper. No words fill the space but doubt. So that was a sort of mixed, a mixed piece that I did a couple of years ago. And actually we got 4 pairs of owls nearby, and they tweet every night, which is actually rather nice.
Yes, I remember reading a book with a very big, well, the presence of the Native American culture in the Pacific Northwest, and that they talked a lot about the owl and its significance.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary thing. So, all right, let's see if I've got this one actually in order. Now you see what's happened here is that I put everything down. Here we are, and actually now I can't find anything in order, so it's good. This is called Bethlehem. And we were very lucky that we've actually been to occupied Palestine stroke Israel about 8 or 9 times in the last 10 years. So we've been really extraordinarily lucky. And each time we've had the most extraordinary time. So I wrote about Bethlehem when we went for Christmas. So hopefully you can enjoy this. Endless Jerusalem stone, white, chiseled, set in every building, wall and step, traversing, foot weary to Mary's tomb, the place of Jesus' ascension. A mass, synchronous timing in Orthodox monastery, driving rain greeting our midnight journey to Bethlehem's manger, where huge yet simple church, untrammeled by modernity, theology, nor dollars, greeted the myriad throng. The hustle, bustle, and constant movement, ushered by the driving rain, wind and crowd's own energy, loudspeakers and dancing African throng, with bowed heads and body, we entered into sacred space to find mixed humanity of iPhones, cameras, idle chat, fervent prayers, the push and pull of the scrum of a throng, with white-clad Ethiopians, Palestinian Christians, Russian Orthodoxy, Armenians, and small gatherings of Greek and others from Orthodox lands. The triple mass, Greek and in Russian, Armenian and Coptic, yet attendant processions greeting us with fervent chaos as disorganized yet very human, distinctly male, phalanx of crosses, Bibles and heraldry, with singing men in Arabic, greeted and circumventing the musty hall. Hours fled by, an eventual entry to Coptic area with quick look down, dark brown, pristine white, wrinkled yet all designed to be seen, save occluded from intimacy, the ubiquitous shades, creating a marked enormity, yet aiding in an overt narcissism as the throngs trod heavily, clumsily and daintily, many with altered gait for the power of the instincts, outwitting, outguessing and disabling our humanity, as they passed the disabled, the old and infirm, the cracked heads and the idle, the mentally ill, in well-worn, decrepit invalid chairs, and makeshift similars, shooting inanities and slogans from their various pitches, the parade of misfits, miscreants and ne'er-do-wells, mixed with a parade of those worshipping the Almighty. And in this place we found the heart. Now what's happened here is that I've actually found that I've in fact read something that was wrong, which was rather a shame, but somehow it sort of fitted. So here is a piece of New York, if I can find it. No, Mevlana. So you know that we live in this wonderful country called Turkey, which is the home of Rumi, or Mevlana as he is called here. And so this is just a short piece because we went up there, I suppose 3 or 4 times, and it is the most wonderful place. It has a feeling inside, apart from being a very conservative city, of this sort of continual sense of worship. So it's got a really special place, in my heart anyway. The autumnal light, gently fell across the smiling throngs, bustling, pushing, elbowing their way, a solid phalanx of long-coated, scarf-wearing, smiling ladies, grizzly white-bearded older men, kids in tow, whole families Sunday visit, with earnest supplicating upturned hands, beseeching the long-gone, revered and brilliant Mevlana. Lover of Allah, friend of Shams al-Tabrizi, citizen of Rum and the quiet city of Konya, which sits in spacious dip amongst the flat, tedious plains and slight valleys that play out the shadowed drama in Anatolian heartland, central Turkey, stretching across fertile grasslands, cotton buds waving their gossamer balls of white across dusty fields, wheat trembling in the radiating heat, black shaggy goat by the hundred, troll the golden desiccated chaff, as shepherds' shrill whistles and endearing calls usher their scraggy, nimble-footed future, shish and kebab, delightful aromatic stew with apricots back to their nightly pens. All the while, the obligatory, and then some punctuates the busy Sunday with particular beautiful rendering of the call. 6, 7 reminders in this pious town, where Mevlana's tomb doth beckon the throng, their hearts and prayers, wishes and thanks mingle in the cool air. Right, let's see if I can find something else. Yeah.
Can I say something while you're looking?
Yes, please, yeah.
I love the imagery. I really felt as though I was there watching the scene.
Good.
I was going to say, you do wonderful word painting.
Work what?
Word painting.
Word painting.
Like,
Good.
well,
Well, that's nice.
I can see the scene as you read the poem, you know.
Great. Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Okay. Moscow. So I hope this isn't too melancholy. They landed softly, disappearing as they touched the warmer asphalt, swirling around, gently kissing the face as hunched bodies, sighing downcast, trooped out of the station, a horde making their way across the hard pavement, newly tarted up with fancy stone and granite curbing. The white of earpods visibly against ruddy complexions, the odd laughing face with plastic cord draped across their face, talking audibly to some hidden friend, lover, mother, child, standing out from the silent mass, competing against the oft-repeated mantra, Tambov, Tambov, that announced an unintended destination, echoing across the desolate, half-built station, words that competed against another, softer, recalcitrant, even SIM card, in that phonetic dissonance only a foreigner would notice. The imposing yet aesthetically absent towers rise up all around as the morning traffic swirls past, gone like the snowflakes, yet taken moments later by others, impatient for the long delays, the usual dynamic never changing, as the beggar woman bows repeatedly on frozen knees, huddled against the enveloping cold, crossing herself, as her meagre collection in cloth cap and battered icon stands silent, sentinel to a future long lost. The blue church, surrounded with its own patterned and cobbled paving, stands open, allowing the constant flow of the penitent, the superstitious, the habitual to stand in front of the iconostasis, muttering prayer and forgiveness for ancient sins and future failings in a city full of graces, beauty, opulence, darkness, misogyny, and yet faith. Right, talk to me whilst I look for something else.
I really liked that one. I thought that was powerful.
Good, thank you.
Not just a mixture, but it's more of a synthesis of the old and the foundation of faith, along with the ways in which it has become almost obsolescent, or at least hard to discern.
I just wanted to make a comment about your poem in Israel, because I was there in 1993 with members from my sister's church, and we toured all over and spent a number of days in Jerusalem. I contacted a couple of Subud people there. One of them was at the time the newsreader for Israel radio. So I was able to go to the station, surrendered my passport, got to watch her practicing her news reading, and then spent about 15 minutes talking with her. On my way to see another Subud lady on the bus, it happened to be the top of the hour, and here came her wonderful voice giving us the news. So that brought a lot of memories back to me. Thank you.
Well, it's such a beautiful.
We could put off the talk until after the reading. I'd really like to hear Solihin and then have a discussion after. That'd be my preference.
Sure. Okay,
right.
That's fine.
Okay, so yes, so this is Ramadan 2018 actually. Surah Qaf. وَقَفَ تَصْبِرَ اللَّهَ مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. How can you have patience for what you do not encompass with practical understanding? So that's the sort of the beginning of this particular poem. And I think I was feeling, it was a hard Ramadan. Okay. In the quietness of soul, I observe and marvel at my faults, stupidity, the neural pathways or habits. It is as if nothing has changed over the time. Some 44 times this practice has gone past, as if yesterday and now today with again appears repeatedly an Eid, a moment of respite, a feast of gratitude, charity and thankfulness. Is it that naught is tempered by wisdom? Nothing, zero, niet, nada, la? Or the non-verbal, quirky and slightly annoying, if not rude, as our Turkish friends answer with the negative, and they go, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have put that one in, but anyway. Were the seemingly unending days, devoid of water and food, utterly self-imposed, as my psyche and nafs battled with the constant refrain of admonition, the quelling of inner voices, the quick riposte stopped, the bitter tale cut off or left unspoken, the tittle-tattle of daily life squashed, a deaf ear turned, the remembering to remember, La ilahu illallah. Tired, sleep-deprived and Ramadan blues, even as the Layla Khada moves across time and space, longitudes and nations, odd and even nights, where grace descends, entering or accompanying the vessel, if the journey has opened the vessel, whose very nature is to close, when all around is mayhem, death, the odor of fresh blood, the sickening cries of the wounded, limbs vanished, faces pulverized, guts spilt, the anguish of parents mourning, whole families decimated, as the genocidal shadow rises a spectre, whether the shadow of passing low-altitude strafe, winged flights of death, or a tank with plutonium rounds, the smell of cordite and phosphorus, just to light up the scene, as kind-hearted IDF sends putative warnings, followed by ipsilateral barrage some mere moments later, with pious commentaries of defense of the state, rather than the unstated, the obvious obliteration of usurped nation. Meanwhile, in other places, usurpers of the caliphate do irredeemable harm to Islam's legions, as they vomit on the words of the Prophet, as they kill, maim, rape, murder, and glorify in their hellish jihad. As stolen women laid waste, bare and criminally abused in rainforests by similar ignorant thugs, hijacking the holy words in abhorrent, merciless mayhem, in whose bywords Syria falls in chaos, collapse, and factional genocide. O great life, Allah, God, Brahman, Father, why hast thou forsaken us? How can the righteous be quiet in heart? Hold back the tears, subdue the nafs and heart, when all of this and more goes on. May we pray for forgiveness, mercy for us all, for those who wage war, for those who do not love, for those who are asleep, for those who are corrupted, for those who have forgotten their promise. Oh, that was quite a hard one. I'd forgotten I'd written all of that stuff. You know, we're living very near Syria, so we have it in our face, basically. You know, it's just down the road. And there's an awful lot of, you know, nasty stuff going on constantly in the world. All right. Yes, I hope that wasn't too macabre. But sometimes one has to write about, you know, the things that are nasty. Yeah. Okay. I'm just looking to see if this is one poem or two. Yeah, one poem. Okay. So this is done in Turkey. So this is when we were here, I suppose quite a few years ago now. The autumnal cold seeps in as mountain redoubt belies her protection, as barometric inversion transforms the day's heat, and marrow responds with deep deathly chill, even though a beautiful evening is irradiated by sun's caress, setting softly into turquoise sea, as quail, owl and gregarious songbirds and mere sparrow join their melodies in the twilight, as night falls, placing her gentle lid on busy day, reminding us by gentle quiet to take stock, reflect, find calm, silence and soft talk as we wind down a frenetic day, hurrying from shop to shop, viewing the many luxuries so carefully created by hands distant and unknown, carpets, kilims, furniture, paintings, lamps of Eastern decoration, and the oh so exotic as Mevlana too is carelessly yet willfully sold, invoking the unwary, seducing the shallow and covetous heart of the uninitiated, pulling even the sophisticated towards their material nature imbued by human force, which entices, envelops and takes prisoner all those besotted by her base nature, and beauty they take all, except for those whose nature waits for the moment that each element speaks its truth, waiting then to be claimed. We came home, empty-handed, tired, but for the moment the market beckoned, and easily we turned towards her grasp, and baskets filled with dates and raisins, apricots, cardamom, ginger, cumin, and ginseng, as every spice in her own bouquet took us into her fold, and easily captivated us as freshly picked oranges, figs, luscious, tart royal purple plums, and fresh herbal teas filled our bags, as vegetable force showed her superiority, and we returned triumphant, anticipatory of her bounty, to that fallen day, and met the night's embrace. Oh, this is quite right. How am I doing? Am I doing all right?
Yes, I think one more, Solihin. One more, and then.
One more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm looking at this because this is quite. My children, my middle daughter then went and printed all my poems, but what she didn't do was to sort of title them. So it's like a sort of continuous pages and pages of type. So here I am looking at something, going, I'm hoping that I read this, but I mean that this is it. So this is called Stratford-upon-Avon, the Bard's Birthday. So obviously this is about Shakespeare. Oh, so green those rolling hills, mustard yellow, carpeting gentle Warwick countryside, vibrant views, frolicking lambs, wonder in youthful days, mature mothers congregate around feeding troughs, as bright spring blues light up the coming day of cavernous gulf of fond meetings with yesterday's folk from long gone old history and youth, and present-day whitened looks, paunches and slack jowls and ill-shaven jet-lagged skin as memories flood and the sensory cortex, and raucous laughter giggles as sudden recognition that little changes save skin, wrinkles and vertebral height, as yesterday's history comes ever present, as if time stood still and love outdistanced all. Yeah, that was it. Yes, actually, that was a meeting that I had of my pals who I grew up in Kuwait when I was in the 1950s and 1960s, and we met for the first time, I suppose, 3 years ago, and it was actually rather nice to see all these people that I hadn't been with for 50 odd years. So that was good. All right, there we are. I can do more.
Thank you.
Yay!
Well, good. Thank you very much for letting me read it. I realised that I wasn't totally prepared, even though all the bits of paper are here. They got a little bit muddled up somewhere. Miranda, hello.
Hiya.
All right, good. So what are we meant to do here? Are we meant to sort of chat or have a cup of tea? Or...
We have poetry-related chat, Solihin, so that we have a chance to either ask you questions or to mention something about the poems.
Okay, please.
Solihin, you were working on a writing project that would further elucidate the life forces as conceived of in Islamic culture. Have you started that, or has there been any developments regarding that?
Yes, yeah. Well, yes, I've written probably about 150 pages, I guess. But it's a very hard thing to write about. Not that I don't understand it, it's just that I'm trying to mix it with my own inner experiences to sort of relate to, well, why do I understand things as this? So I'm trying to make my life that my life is in, well, the Latterhan and worship and experience has informed my understanding of medicine and the life forces in relationship to the life forces. So I'm writing it slowly, and I wrote consistently prior to Ramadan, and then since Ramadan I've completely stopped, actually. But I will, I'll start again.
Can you talk a little bit about the nature of that project?
Was that a wrinkle in time? Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is to go through the development of my understanding in relation to what I've understood from Bapak, from the Latterhan, from all the great Sufi commentators, right back to Plotinus and Aristotle and all, sort of the great writers of old, because they have actually very concisely and very precisely put down the model of the life forces over time. And Bapak happened to be one that gave us a slightly different pose from a Javanese point of view. And my job and my understanding was that I put the caduceus into the life forces model as bridges between each level of being. And so what I'm doing is writing about those experiences that have informed me, that have given me an understanding of the caduceus as a symbol of medicine, but actually as a symbol of the virtues that in fact promote health in a human being, so that actually they act as the needle, as the medicine, and as the information that goes inside us to heal us. So the caduceus is basically a very old model of an inoculation or vaccination, actually, because it contains all three elements, which is the thing that penetrates, the thing that pervades, which is the medicine, and the light, which is understanding. So it's a really great model what is health. So that's what I'm trying to do. Not easy. Yes.
I'd like to just respond to the poem, Solihin. I've read some of your poetry and I've always found it interesting. It draws me in. I particularly liked hearing you read it because I could just receive it, and it sort of took me on a journey. Very vivid imagery that just come, I really can see the poem. But also very honest. I really like the fact that nothing was excluded. The grim and even violent side of life juxtaposed with the beauty, because that's the paradox that we live with, and we have to find a way of integrating those experiences. So I like the fact that you put them in the same frame, let them sit together, and let the questions sit with them. Yeah, very thought-provoking, very rich. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much to say that. And I have to say that I'm really impressed with your articulation of what you listen to. I mean, I'm always surprised how people are so thoughtful and reflective. And thank you. Actually, it means a lot to me.
I'd like to.
Can you raise your hand when you would like to say something, please? So, Laura.
Solihin, I enjoyed your poetry very much. I enjoyed it so much that I would like to have the opportunity to read again and again what you've recited today. I wondered if there's any way that would be available or a possibility.
Sure, that's quite possible. It's all on. I think it's all on a Pages a Word document that I can send, and I could look to see the ones that I've read, and send you a PDF or something like that if you'd like to do that. If you'd like to have that.
I would like that very much.
What we also could do is that we post it under your reading in YouTube.
That's right.
Yes. Send it to me after this, and then we have it, and then we can post it.
Well, give me a couple of days just to sort of frame it up and send it to you. Sure.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Isn't it being recorded now?
Yes.
Yes,
But
that would go on YouTube, won't it?
Yes.
So we can. I mean, I missed a lot, and I want to hear
Yes,
it.
it will be.
Again,
It's
so I should
recorded, but we will post also in writing form.
Oh, see, okay. Thank you.
Excellent.
Great. Good.
Richard,
yes.
It's actually Theodore.
Fyodor. Okay.
Theodore.
Well, not so new, about 8 years old now. Yeah, Solihin, I was struck by a kind of bifurcation in your poems between the ugly and the hopeful. And I thought that I liked the last poem particularly. Maybe it's because you're an Englishman, I'm not sure. But it put me in mind of Ray Vaughan Williams. And it was as if in that last poem, it all came together in a kind of synthesis where the old and the hopeful and the new and the beautiful, what you can see in the English countryside today even, is also lovely and pastoral and inspiring even, but maybe soothing even more than inspiring. And I thought at the same time of the pictures I've seen of Ray Vaughan Williams as a very handsome young man, and then there's this old droopy old man, as we all get because of gravity, still writing these incredible symphonies into his 80s, and he was always the same composer. I'm not saying he didn't develop musically, but something persisted and was consistent. And maybe that's the way we ought to take life, maybe somehow that brings the ugly and the beautiful together so they can become one whole. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, it does. Thank you. Yes. And it's so interesting because I actually haven't, what normally happens is I just write and I don't correct it at all. I just put it away, either post it on Facebook or put it away. So these are the first time that I've actually unearthed them and read them. So they're actually rather nice to remind me of a really great, I've been very fortunate to have a wonderful life and an adventurous life all over the place. It's good.
Yeah.
Anyone putting their hands up? That's it.
Can we speak personally, though, too?
Of course.
Because, well, you, as you mentioned, you had a very interesting, unique life. You've lived in many countries. You weren't born in the UK. You've traveled extensively. You have children all over the world. You've visited them many times. The beauty of Facebook for your life is that we get to share it with you, which, I value so much. Loving you like I do. And do you have, in this time of reflection that we're all doing, do you have any looking to the future? Or are you just being where you are? Are there any threads of what may be coming that you have experienced or felt or received?
Whoa. No, if I'm really honest, I'm just totally present in my little bubble here.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm really honest, I mean, it's what's been wonderful for us is that we've met people for the first time. I shouldn't say for the first time, but basically for the first time, who come from completely disparate backgrounds, and we've come together, and suddenly we have this community of, 65, 70-year-olds who are absolutely wonderful. So we've got some really fantastic pals here. I think the only negative here is that there's no Subud group. I mean, that's, whether that's good or bad, I'll not
Solihin, you're a man with initiative and vision. I'm surprised that there isn't a group that started around you, or have you considered it?
I've done that before.
Right.
I not started, but I helped to really build the Moscow one up considerably, which was great. But I did get a lot of flack from that, and then flack here and there. So apart from all of that, the Bethlehem is close to us, which is great. It's not that we're not, in a place, a quiet place and a surrendered place. Turkey is an interesting country to be in, actually, at the moment, because Erdogan is a bit like Trump, at some implicit level. He's wanting to be the next Sultan, and and create a sort of new Islamic sort of culture. And fortunately, and I'm very sort of enthused about it, that the sort of modern young Turk are really secular and very into Kemal Ataturk, so the secularist model of Turkey. So in that respect, it's really heartening. But there is this huge dichotomy, a bit like America, where good and bad are fighting, and and the difficulty is that we're missing out the sort of what I would call the implicit reality, the reality that there is only one life, and that's the inner life, and they've sort of missed that, really. So we're here at the moment enjoying ourselves. I have no idea what's going to happen, but that's okay. I have a garden. I do my veggies. We've got pomegranates and olive trees and fruit trees, and we have a hammam in the house, and I mean, it's just wonderful. We're really very, very lucky, actually. I'm full of gratitude.
How did you come to arrive there?
We wanted to escape Moscow. Moscow was really, really a hard 7 years that we did, and so one day Alicia said, "I need to get out of the apartment that we were in," and she wanted to get a dacha, which is sort of like a little wooden house out in the countryside. And I said, "I'm not going to put any money into Russia, thank you very much." So we started looking for other places, and this was 3 hours flight from Moscow. So we'd fly into Antalya, then we'd drive 2.5 hours. We actually found a place. We built this house. We never, ever thought about the future. It was just a holiday place where we could just have 4 days on sometimes. You know, we fly out, have 2 days here, a day traveling on either side, 2 days here, and then we'd go back recovered and ready to do the next month. So that's why we came here. And then suddenly we found pals, which has been great, which is really good. And the Turks here speak English, and we tried to learn. I'm trying to learn Turkish, but actually it goes in one ear and out the other rather quickly.
Yeah.
My hippocampus obviously doesn't work any longer, so it's quite hard.
It'd be lovely to see gardens. I think on SICA it'd be nice to see.
Yeah, yes.
People's gardens. It's all part of it, isn't it? Culture.
Yeah.
Of course. Mm.
Oh, good. Well,
Okay, I think we are coming slowly to an end. Thank you so much,
Good.
Solihin.
my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll put this together and send it to you. And how nice to see you all, by the way.
Yes.
It's so nice. Latifa and Maria and Halima and Paul. There were some others, and where is it?
At your wedding.
Who else is there?
I'm still here.
You're still here. Good. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming and listening. Very strange thing to do, but anyway, rather.
Thank you for doing this reading. Thank you very much.